I'm going to show you how to use Ply to add a feature to your Gmail that automatically composes status updates on the email recipient's most recent order. Here's how it works. Let's say you keep track of your orders in a Google Sheet like this that includes a column with the customer's email address. Once you've added this feature to your Gmail using Ply, when you reply to a customer inquiry, you see this button, and clicking on it automatically composes an email that includes the status of the customer's most recent order, the line items in the order, and the contact information of the order handler. The feature also adds the order handler as a CC'd recipient on the email. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add this feature using Google Sheets, but it also works with other e-commerce platforms like Shopify or WooCommerce. To add this feature to your Gmail, have the Compose window open with an email address in the To field that appears in your order database. When that's open, click on Ply's Chrome extension and then Create New Module. Then choose a context for your module. The context determines where the button that triggers your feature will appear and also what data from Gmail your feature will get. I'm going to add a feature to Gmail's Compose context, so my feature will get access to the recipient in the Compose window, the email subject, and the email's body. Now I design what my button looks like, and since it gets information from Google Sheets, I'm going to give it an icon that relates to Google Sheets in green. And when I'm happy with how my button looks, I click Save and open Flow Editor, where I set up my feature's flow. A flow is a series of steps that happen one after another whenever the button gets pressed, and steps come in 3 types. There are interface steps, where the user sees an interface that they interact with, integration steps, where the feature performs an action in one of the apps that Ply integrates with, and helper steps that manipulate data or the flow in some way. The first step in my flow is going to be an integration step in Google Sheets, and I want it to search for rows in my order database based on their value in the email column. I want to get any order that's associated with the email address of the recipient in the Compose window. So I'm going to add an action called Search Rows by Column Value. I'm going to connect my Google Sheets account to let Ply perform actions in Google Sheets on my behalf. And now I set up where I want my feature to search and what I want it to search for. So in Spreadsheet ID, I choose the spreadsheet where I want to search, which is Orders Demo. And Worksheet ID is the worksheet within that spreadsheet that contains the information on orders. In Column, I choose the column where I want to search using the email address of the recipient, which is the email column. And in Value to search for, I want to use the email address of the recipient. So to do that, I click into this field and I see the data mapper, which lets me map data from previous steps or from the context into this field. The data that I'm looking for is found under contextual data, and it's the email address of the main recipient. It's found within this collection of email addresses. So if there's more than one recipient, 2 will have more than one item. And since I want the first email address, I'll click on Email and then choose to use the first item. Finally, I want to get the column headers, which will make setting up later steps easier. When I click Test and Continue, I see sample output data for this step, which in this case is a collection of rows that have customer@mail.com as their value in the email column in the spreadsheet. My spreadsheet is set up in such a way that lower rows are more recent than higher rows. So this is arranged chronologically by order date. And since I want my feature to compose a message about the most recent order, I need to get the greatest item from this table or the last item from this table, regardless of how many items are found. So to do that, I'm going to add another step, a helper step, which is found under Table Functions. And the action is called Get an Item from a Table. Here's how it works. In Table, I'm going to use the data mapper to select the output of search rows by column value, like this. And under Item Choice, I'm going to choose the last item in the table, which is the most recent order. When I click Test and Continue, I get the most recent order associated with customer@mail.com. Now I want to use this data to compose a message and place it into the context. An action that affects the data in a field in the context is called a contextual action, and these are found under the integration that the context belongs to. Since I'm trying to add an action that affects the data in the Gmail Compose context, the action I'm looking for will be under the Gmail integration. Contextual actions are marked with a puzzle icon in this menu, and they'll only be visible if you're adding a feature to the relevant context. The action that I'm looking for is add content to the message body, and here I set up the content that's going to be added to the Compose window. I want to write a greeting to the order recipient and a status update that includes the order number. I also want to include the line items of the order. And the contact information of the order handler. Finally, I want to add one more step that's going to add the order handler as a recipient to the email. So that'll also be a contextual action under the Gmail integration called add recipients. Specifically, I want to CC the handler. So I'll add their email address in this field. And when I'm happy with how my feature works, I click on publish. And this feature is going to be added to the Gmail Compose window with the functionality that we saw at the beginning.